Thank you, Priyanka. So good evening to everyone who's watching this very lovely show. I have no words to describe this particular show because so we are going to be talking to a very different kind of an author who has written a very beautiful book through our program called Books and All. So, Books and All is one of the flagship programs of All Ladies League Manufacturing. And while we are doing yet another program of ours, which is Fireside Chat, we wanted to be very focused and provide a platform for many women who do not have time to pick up a book and read. Because I am a diehard fan of reading in any format. Auditory, visual, anything is okay for me. So I thought I should pass on that, and in a selfish way, also get to meet authors and try to inspire women through these beautiful authors. And in the bargain, when I was one day, playing around with my Facebook, um, immediately after we launched our first Books and All session, um, I kind of bumped into Yogita, and it said the short summary of that book truly took me by a breeze, I would say. And I had goosebumps all over my hands when I read that short, very brief summary. And I said, I should get Yogita and I should meet her and she should be our next guest for All Ladies League Manufacturing. So that's the kind of inspiration, that instant inspiration, I want to say, that Yogita created in me, and I'm sure with my team members as well, Preeti, Priyanka, and Shri. I'm sure they also got equally excited when I shared this idea with them. They said, yes, we should go ahead, Rajni. That's what they told me. So, and there is Yogita with all of us, who's going to be talking about her book in this Books and All, edition 2, for all the people who are watching this lovely show. So before I hand over the podium to Yogita, I have to take this great honors of introducing this wonderful lady. So Yogita calls herself, a successful businesswoman, CEO and founder of Traveling with Me, Myself and I, which offers personal and business development services. Yogita wears few different hats: solo travel specialist, personal development strategist, an award winning international speaker, author, and blogger with over a decade of solo traveling experience. Yogita was featured by one of the Australian magazines as Female Change Maker, finalist of an Innovative Business Award and Leadership Award. She is an advocate for mental health and well being and dyslexia awareness. Yogita's mission is to get every woman to play the role of ME, without mask or pretense. Yogita's passion is solo travel to self discovery. No corona, it's just a ordinary cough. Yogita's vision is helping women to unleash the power of the authentic self through personal development. So, people, this entire thing is very brief, but I'm sure this is like the iceberg. What you're seeing is only a very small bit of what is floating on the top. And I think Yogita has lots more to offer to us, um, as one of the successful women. So over to you, Yogita, and we request you to, take us through. It's a freewheeling one, so you can talk about yourself, your book, and over to you. And welcome once again.
Thank you so much, Rajni. That's such a beautiful introduction, such a beautiful welcome. Feels so warm. And I am so excited to share my journey and my book with you all, and talk about where it started and where we're at the moment. But before I start on my author's journey, so to speak. I wanted to thank you for finding me on social media. Obviously, social media is such a beautiful platform. You're all the way in India and I'm all the way in Australia. There was no way our paths would have crossed if it wasn't for social media. So thank you very much. And thank you for the kind words from my post. So the post that you read was the post that literally said a book written by a dyslexic woman. And both of those things are challenges for me. So what do I mean by when I say challenges? So I'm dyslexic, and the information that I'm dyslexic, to share that with the world and to not be ashamed and embarrassed about it has been a very long journey for me. So let's start from the beginning. When I was very young, um, in school, like primary school, high school, even at university, I really struggled with reading, writing, and spelling, and that is dyslexia mind. Dyslexia mind is wired that way. It doesn't read like everybody else does. It doesn't spell like everybody else does, and it doesn't think like everybody else does. So while at school, you kind of have this again and again voice from outside, like your teachers, your parents. Not so much my parents. My parents were very encouraging. You are actually not good enough because you are measured, your well-being or your ability is defined by how smart you are from the exams that you take in English. And I was defined by how smart I was, by how well I did in English. And that wasn't all of me, it was just a part of me. So that became my conditioning not to be able to tell people that I have dyslexia or I'm dyslexic because I was so embarrassed and I was so ashamed. And that carried on into being an adult. And that started to kind of surface into more self-sabotage than anything else. And that's where I take a deep breath and reflect with what do I really want from my life? How do I want to move forward? Because now I have got two beautiful daughters that are also like I'm responsible for them. So everything I do, they're learning. They're like sponges. They're just soaking in all my actions, not my words, but my actions. And my actions were absolutely opposite to my words because my words were work hard, be good, do this, do that, because I was actually reflecting my fears into them. And unless and until I stopped that, I was going to really mess them up, like mess their well-being. So that was the waking moment, from the point of every mother wants their daughter to have everything that she didn't have. It's just a thing that mothers are ingrained with. They want the best for their children. They want their children to blossom and be happy as possible and as healthy as possible. But with the environment that I was in and I had created was toxic. It was toxic for myself and it was toxic for my children. And something had to change. And the only thing I could change, to be totally honest, only thing anybody can change is themselves. You can only change yourself, and that's it. And everybody else around you changes because you inspire them from walking the walk and talking the talk instead of just telling others to do something and you do the opposite. So that's where my journey of self-discovery started and personal development started. And then I got to a place where I had to, part of my journey, to write this book. I had to write this book not to get the fame, which, everybody now who sees it and reads it, they love how raw it is, how honest it is, and how vulnerable it is. But it's actually, it took courage to be that raw and let people see you without any mask, let people see you without any, anywhere to hide. And when you are that raw and when you are that vulnerable, you have nowhere to hide. Like, you can't really hide anywhere. So you can't pretend to be someone you're not, because you've already now told the world. And that was my healing moment. So
Wow.
from there on, after you get to that healing moment, you now then can be yourself and really rise above everybody else's opinions and everybody else's judgment and everybody else's, whatever their opinion is, doesn't define me anymore. And this is one of the biggest things I am now teaching in my personal development programs, is how to not be defined by others' opinions and others' judgment. And a lot of people still actually do that. They get very offended and affected by other people's opinions and judgments, and it is part of being human. You're either motivated by fear or you're motivated by ego, and both of them part of my being before my personal journey. So it is a long story, like you said. It's just the icing on the cake, and there's so much layers underneath. To be totally honest, the journey has been amazing. I feel like I am on the right path, and this path will, carry on to create a legacy where both of my daughters will be, proud of the fact that I actually took this step and went on this journey to create better future for them and their children and anybody else out there in the world who has been told that they're not good enough, has been told that they're not smart enough, has been told that they are not going to amount to anything for whatever reason, whether with some challenging habits or born with some difficulties, or it's just the culture, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. They all can find their path by really tapping within and finding their power. So yeah, so that's what my book is all in a nutshell, so to speak.
Oh, wow. I'm just so mesmerized with whatever you were just talking. I was so drawn into your conversation. So, Yogita, tell us about, what are the top five aspects of your book that are very powerful, or what are some of the three, five, seven powerful things that you've tried to tell people, and why do you think only these are important? And can you take us through those five nuggets or seven nuggets or how many ever you have kind of, and what kind of time frame did you take to write this book? uh, how many months from conception to publishing?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So nuggets. So the book is all about your self identity. So your self identity, which for me, I had to um, the the simplest way I can explain this was, if you can think about your mind that is all programmed by who you are and what you're capable of and what you're not capable of and what you can do and what you can't do. For me, my mind was all programmed by, everybody's mind is programmed by society, so to speak. So it starts at childhood. You get programmed from your parents, your siblings, everything you see and do before you start school. And then when you start school, the teachers and the children, and then everything gets programmed and keeps going on. So for me, before I could really find my self-identity, I had to hit a delete button and literally delete everything that was already programmed, because I couldn't relate to any of those things the world told me I was. I had to find out for myself who I was. So that's hence Finding Me, Myself, and I, the name of the book. So I had to put that in the book. So the number one thing was finding your self-identity. And then once you found your self-identity, the second one was self-acceptance. So for me to have self-acceptance, it was a yo-yo kind of journey. So I went back and forth, because before I was in a corporate world, I was doing like I had a very powerful job that had, high demands and so forth. So that was my ego's cap. Like I wore that cap with a lot of pride because I worked very hard for it. But on the outside, the picture looked really perfect. But the inside, I was not happy. Like, even though it was everybody's dream that they would have my life, except I didn't want it. And so I felt really unfulfilled, not satisfied. I felt really stressed all the time. I was burnt out all the time because I was overworking to keep up this mask that I kept on wearing, that, I'm all this and I'm all that and I'm all the other, which I really wasn't. And at the end of the day, when it came to the honest, raw, authentic self-acceptance, it took a while. It really took a while. It took me a very long time to take that mask off and accept all my strengths, all my weaknesses, and embrace them, and then tell the world, literally, it's like coming out of the closet, tell the world that you're dyslexic, and actually be okay with people laughing at you. Because all I could remember all my life, pretty much, when I was younger at school, that voice of kids laughing at me when the teacher will ask me to stand up and spell something, or the teacher will give you a test results back, and there will be like 20 words they will test or something, and everybody will get good marks, and I will not get one word right. and she will make sure that she tells the whole class that I didn't get anything right, so the whole class will laugh at me. So to like literally come out and tell the world that you're dyslexic, and this was my experience, it was opening like a can of wounds that I never wanted to actually really face again, so to speak, like address it or deal with it, because it was such a painful time. So that self-acceptance was a biggest part of this whole journey. After self-acceptance,
what was your age then?
So like the thing before I or while I was actually having these problems at school. When you start school, at the age of 8, you start doing spelling tests, so to speak. So it started at the age of 8. And then I was just after my second daughter was born, in my 30s, I started to kind of like look at myself, and I was also kind of like just started a new business, and it was extremely high profile, very demanding business. And I had to take a deep breath, and then really I started working on my whole journey. So the whole process took 10 years. This is like my 11th year of, doing what I do now. But the journey started slow. So when I was in the process of doing my self acceptance sessions, like part of the journey, I would say probably about 5 years ago. And then I literally just 2018 was when I started actually writing the book seriously. But the book was the seed was planted 9 years ago. So it took me 9 years to write the book. Like, I wrote so much, I had so much to say. And then at the same time, I thought, I'm not ready yet. Like, I wasn't ready to really let the world judge me yet, because I was still driving from fear. I still didn't want people to laugh at me because I couldn't spell. And that child kept on coming back saying, don't do this. People will laugh at you. Nobody needs to know, So it just kept on coming back. It was a very powerful child that was stuck in my head that I had to say, look, it's okay. let's let it go. Let's, let that whole part of you be your strength, be your what you were ready to do now. You needed to go through all that to do it now, so to speak. So yeah, so it was
Wow.
there's no
It's
time
beautiful.
I can give you to speak. Yeah, it has been like almost like a roller coaster till 2018, and then started to put pen to paper, and then published in 2019 around this November. So yeah, so the book came to life in November last year. So
Okay.
that was like amazing. It, like, people write books all the time, and obviously anyone writes. It's a great achievement, but for me it was a different
But I
level of
think
achievement.
I think you are a great achiever because to create this entire book and keep jotting it down for 8 years, putting every small detail and trying to fit in all of those things is not a very easy thing to do. And
No.
keeping the entire string of thought, going back and putting it into whichever book you were noting it down or whichever computer, I don't know, but it must have been a real ordeal for you at that point in time. And then taking it up and then doing it and publishing is something brilliant, Yogita. I think you are defined by your perseverance, is what I would say. When I look at you, you come across as a person of grit and person of perseverance. Never leave it until you achieve it. Never drop things off halfway.
Yes, I think like at one point I said to my my family that my middle name should have been Patience, because I just refused to give up. There were moments when I said, uh, let's not do it. This is too hard. It's too frustrating. For a dyslexic woman to spell, it's so stressful. To write a book of 50,000 words plus, it's just so much stress and so much demand. But I wasn't doing it for me. The first reason was I was actually doing it for my two daughters. I really needed the book printed and out there for them at one point. When that shifted from writing it for me to writing it for them. And then the second reason I was writing this was for every woman that has a dream, but that there is a limitation, or there is a challenge, or there is a learning disability, whatever it might be. When they hear my story and when they read my book, they will go, well, if she did it, I can do it too. If she did not give up after 9 years of up either. So
Struggle.
patience, yes, absolutely. Resilience, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to the key nuggets, what are those key nuggets that you want to tell the world? Of course, I would recommend all of them to buy your book, but then you're talking about the book. So what are the key nuggets that you want to share? And going back to this all ladies league manufacturing, the
Mhm.
sector where most of the women are not too well represented in the sector, manufactured or represented, because still it is considered as a man's world. So you need to wear a pant and a shirt
Yeah.
to be to be in that sector, and not many women take up this sector. So I'm only
Yeah.
looking at how can we marry off these two things, from how do we take it from your nuggets and to telling our women who want to create a career in manufacturing, because manufacturing is a beautiful industry which has a lot of options for women to excel. you know Having said that, I'm trying to see how your concepts can help them, and it's that too from the horse's mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So my nuggets from the book is self-identity, self-acceptance, self-worth. After you have self-acceptance, the self-worth just comes naturally. Self-worth from self-worth is self-respect. And once you got that in the line of as it's supposed to happen, then self-belief. And self-belief is what will make any woman stand out in any man's field or any field, so to speak. So if there is absolutely beautiful concept that doesn't matter whether you're a man or woman, we all have some qualities that are our strengths and some qualities that are our weaknesses. So for men, they normally come with quite a lot of masculine energy, which is amazing, but masculine energy is not a creative energy. So in manufacturing, if you are creating something, you want female energy. And for a male to have female energy, because every male has female energy and every woman has male energy, and that is just given. It just depends on which one is a lot more stronger in a person. For the industry to really flourish, as every industry wants to, and to be at its best in the market, and we all know the market is cutthroat anywhere in the world right now, why not utilize the best of everything that we've got? So if you are a woman who has self-belief, and you have the feminine energy, you have the ability, and you know your worth, and you have your respect, then you can go into any field and given manufacturing, and you can do any job with the finesse it needs, with the elegance it needs. You don't have to wear a pants to do the job. It's just a sad situation, not just in India, literally anywhere in the world. When a man wears a pants, it's automatically given more self-worth. But when a female wears a pants, it's given a lot of judgment. So that is a that is a sad situation. But we need to, now we live in a world where everyone is equal. There is no stronger or weaker, because men have got strong points and which we women can't do, and that is the fact. We have to accept that. Same as so many strengths women have that men can't do, and that is the fact as well. We have to accept that as well. So instead of trying to be equal in matching their strength to our strengths, it's not going to happen. What we need to do come as a puzzle, like you fit each part perfectly to create this nice perfect picture where you're complementing each other. And if you don't complement each other, it is just literally a waste of talent, waste of abilities. Like for every industry, they should have dyslexic mind working for them as well. Because what happens with dyslexic mind, they think outside the square. So what you can see inside from more inclination on what's happening next than what a normal mind does. So there's another level of complementing each other's abilities to work together. Whereas normally, if you put "I'm dyslexic" on your CV, there's 99% chance you won't get hired, because people will go, if you can't read, if you can't write, and if you can't spell, how are you going to work? Well, the perfect example is that we create. Dyslexic mind creates. So we create, like you might have heard, Einstein was dyslexic, and there's all these amazing creators that were dyslexic. And why did they create something that nobody else could see? Because our mind works that way. So imagine having an industry that you have different abilities coming together, and it is not just even a fight of women and men anymore. It's a fight of amazing powers coming together. And if we look at it that way, we can create any industry to be very, very profitable and very, very active. And in the market, it's all about just looking at it in a different way.
Great. So Yogita, you have simplified the concept of innovation in such a way that you said if you have to innovate, you have to look beyond the squares, beyond the four walls. So a little bit of lateral thinking is very important. And you also beautifully articulated the concept of yin and yang, how these two should rhythmically blend for us to create whatever that we are looking at. So, when you're talking about the nuggets, what attracted me was, and even before that, when you were setting the context, you're talking about criticisms and judgments that were coming from the outside of you. So
Yes.
generally, as you rightly said, we are faced with two types of criticisms. One is self-criticism. Sometimes, the outside criticism is putting a lot of pressure on the internal self-criticisms, and then we land up in more trouble when we are going to give a value to both of these. You know, so especially for women, what happens is in whichever industry they are part of, when they step out of their homes, when they just take their bags and they're saying, I'm going for work today, a small portion of that keeps working at the back of your mind. How's the world going to see me? I'm so smart, I can achieve so many things, but how's this world looking at me? And
Yes.
am I performing that level of expectation? There's always this self critic, your own criticisms, and your others criticizing you. So, kind of, lowers the energy that the woman carries in herself. I've heard, being a psychologist, a lot of people come to me for counseling support, and they keep asking me, tell me how I should handle this. The sense of what do I say? The uselessness, the feeling of, oh, am I really useful? Self
Yes.
worth. You put that beautiful
Yeah.
word.
Self-worth.
How does a woman
Yeah.
deal with these kinds of external and internal criticisms?
Yeah, so self-worth is, like you said, the negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is conditioning from when you were little, normally before the age of 6, because you haven't started school yet. This is the conditioning that we and we just condition ourselves, and I was literally no different to that conditioning as well. So the only way to come through this and start to really embrace all your self-worth is really finding your self-identity. And once you found the self-identity, like, self-identity doesn't mean you only have all the strengths, because you also have weaknesses. And this is the reason why we do self-talk that is negative, is because we normally only concentrate on our weaknesses. So when we concentrate on our weaknesses constantly, we manifest them more. Like, it kind of becomes our reality. We kind of live it again and again because we are concentrating on the weaknesses. So my advice to people who are actually doing that is start to work on learning how to manage your weaknesses. So this is one of the things I do teach with my personal development courses, is that weaknesses exist in everyone. So that no one is exceptional. It doesn't matter what. So because we all have weaknesses, let's learn how to manage them, which means you don't concentrate on them 24/7. But when it arises, then you just know how to deal with them. But what we do learn is all your strengths. So once you focus on your strengths, that strength gets even more stronger and that manifests and that becomes your reality. So imagine if you can think of this. You get to pick every day. Every morning you wake up, you get to pick, I am today going to live my weaknesses, or I'm today going to live my strengths. Which one would you pick? So at the end of the day, that is what happens when you pick your strengths. That gives you more self-worth. If you have your strength to back you up, the negative self-talk is gonna just kind of like take the back seat, because you are now in charge, not your mind. You are in charge. You're telling your mind what is gonna happen next, not your mind telling you what's gonna happen next. So it's kind of like taking control and taking responsibilities. And at the end of the day, it's your life and you got to be in charge of it. You can't blame other people for things going wrong. And if you're having negative self-talk, That is, biggest thing is self-sabotage is coming from place of fear, and it is easily managed. You just have to remember, you need to, obviously, depending on where you are at in your life, there are lots of different ways to manage these, and learn your way to strengthen it more, so to speak.
Great. So thank you. And my next question to you, or which I'm really curious to ask you. Who are your? I'm curious about everything about this book. I'm going to, yeah. But the question that I have in my mind is, who are your top two motivators apart from your daughters? You know, uh, they how old are they? If I may ask you, how old are they? How young are
Sure.
they?
Sure. So I've got two daughters, and the youngest one is 15, and the oldest one is 23. And both
Wow,
of
I
them
thought you were
are,
23.
sorry.
I thought you were 23.
Oh, thank you. I am at heart. But
Absolutely, you're younger than 23 at your heart. My God, that. I thought you were going to tell me that your children must be like 5 and 7.
oh, no, no, that was a long time ago. But, yeah,
Wow, congratulations! Yeah.
thank you. But I don't think it gets easier as a parent. It doesn't matter what age they're at. So that the biggest motivation for me was to be the best version of myself, so I can show them how they can be the best version of yourself. This is one thing I've learned, is that unless and until you are the best version of yourself, you're not going to be a good mother. It doesn't matter what you tell yourself, it's not working, it's not going to happen. You're going to not be a good businesswoman, you're not going to be good at anything, to be honest. So
Mm-hmm.
first place to start is really just be the best version of yourself. And then what I love, and this is probably not what you want to hear, my biggest motivation after my two children are actually people that I work with. So my customers, they teach, as much as I help them, there's always something I'm learning from them as well. So that is
Wow.
like, don't have a actual mentor, so to speak. I do have what I call like a guru. So it's not like a mentorship program that the world has gone mad about nowadays. You have to sign up for courses, you have to sign up for coaches, you have to sign up for mentorship. Like, they have stopped thinking for themselves and they want somebody else to tell them how to fix their problem. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. I have to admit, I did sign up for mentorships, coaches, and all that, and then came up to a place where I went like, I know more than these women, so why am I signing up to have them tell me what to do? Which is sad. It is a sad situation. But the reason I could actually really connect with that is because I came to a place where it kind of like sunk into my whole being. It just went like, listen to your own wisdom, it's already there, and everything you need to know to be the best version of yourself, to live the life to your fullest purpose that you are here for, whatever time you have on this planet. It's already with you, it's already within you. There's no reason to go looking for it on the outside. So what I don't think I share this publicly with people, but this is the, when I say guru, this is the spirituality side of me. This is my belief and my religion, so to speak. But other than that, I don't really follow or look up to anything or anyone in particular. And I do respect everyone and learn anything and everything from everyone. They don't have to be at a higher state than me. There can be just everyday people come into my life for whatever reason. There can be a lesson in there as well. So
Wow, that is a real what do I say? That's a real virtue. Uh, that again, I think, comes from your sense of self-worth and sense of self-respect.
Yes,
I'm sure that this entire concept
absolutely.
of listen to your own wisdom sense comes from your own self-worth and respect. And that's a huge message you've given many people, because I know a lot of money is also getting invested in this coaching, and we impact, and business leaders are going crazy about measuring coaching impact, and the rest is the rest of the story. So that is very interesting. So when you saw your book, when you saw your book published, uh,
Yes.
what was your first thought? What was that aha moment, or I don't know what to call it, when you got that book printed first? What was
The
that?
real-
uh,
the realization was absolutely mind blowing. At first, I like the gentleman that delivered the book was like about 4 big boxes. And then I opened it, and to actually hold the actual print book in my hand, it almost felt like second to not quite
so I
almost the same.
it's like
Second
your
to
third daughter.
having my baby, having my third baby in my hand. It had been that much sweat and dedication and patience and like perseverance just went year after year, week after week, month after month, just not giving up. It was almost like I did it. Like I did it. I cannot believe I did it. It had cost time, money, effort, everything, but here it is. And that was the moment where I felt like it was something that was like destiny. It was going to happen, and it should have happened long time ago. But you know, it had happened now. Better late than never, kind of thing, so to speak. Yeah.
So wonderful. So Yogita, I want to ask you one more interesting thing. I'm sure you're going to tell us this. So you are you love traveling, right?
I do.
And you are a solo traveler, you are saying, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, so, can you throw some light on this particular interest of yours? I like to do solo, and all that I have traveled in my life, I've seen a large part of the world now, and I've done a lot of solo traveling, because 95% of my traveling was on business trips, official trips. So absolutely solo travel. But your kind of solo travel is very different from my kind of solo travel. So I want to, I'm a little again curious to know, what is that solo traveling teaching you? What is that message you want to give the other women who want to do solo traveling? Uh, Please talk about that.
Whether we believe it or not, you are your true honest self when you are alone, when no one's watching. You are your true honest self, and there is no ifs and buts about that. And the process of self-discovery journey that I was on to find my true self identity, I needed to be with myself, for myself. And that solo traveling allowed that. It gave me space and time to get away from my everyday chaos, everyday life, everyday demands, everyday responsibilities, to go do something. One, I loved traveling. So, I wanted to see the world, but it wasn't the way, like you said, my version of traveling is very different. So it was like the wisdom that already lived within me. It was a little bit of, we all know that, when you encounter uncertainty, and traveling definitely provides you that uncertainty. Things won't go your way 24/7. There will be mishaps, and bookings not there, and hotels not ready, or the flights missing, all those things. How do you deal with it? What do you do? What's your first reaction? Where is it coming from? Is it ego? Is it fear? Is it like I will be fine. It doesn't matter. I need to sleep. I can just sleep on the customs chair, table, whatever. It doesn't matter. So when you start to really look at life in that perception, that nothing can go wrong, that will throw you off your purpose, off your balance, then you're ready for anything, literally. And if you are one of those people that has to have everything planned out, and if it doesn't go that way, your whole trip is ruined, or your whole day is ruined, and so forth. Solo traveling with me would be the best way to do it, because you are the way you are, and what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. It teaches you problem solving. So when things go wrong, instead of going, why did it go wrong, it's like, how can I fix it? So like a whole life of us, right through school, we're taught how to ask questions.
Yeah.
End up every 5 minutes asking about this, what about this, you're a smart student. but if you suggest a solution for a problem, then it's not a good idea, because you're making the teacher look bad. So solo traveling for me was really spending time on yourself, and then my business became traveling with me, myself, and I, with two concepts of it: traveling within you and traveling around the world with the surroundings, nature, and people, and learning different ways of life, culture, food, and so forth. Yeah, so that was a good question. Thank you.
I think we have lost Rajini. Let me check with her.
No problems. Just a little bit of technology issues
Yes,
going on.
I'm back.
she's back.
I'm back. Thank you, Priyanka, for stepping in. Sorry about the connectivity problem. So I was talking to you about the solo traveling, and you were talking about talking about all that. So coming to the last part of this entire conversation, Yogita. So, how have your children taken this, and what are they telling you now? Because I thought this is basically a book for your children, and now you've given it to so many other women in the world, and I'm sure a lot of people are reading this, and not just women, even men, are taking this book. They're going to read it. They're going to talk about, how do I convert myself into somebody who is optimistic, who can see a definitive future, and whatever are my limitations, I can evolve out of it. I can always see the brighter side of life, and how I can use my own wisdom to excel in whichever areas that I choose to excel. So I'm again curious to know, what are your children telling about this book? Because these two ladies, I'm sure they are wonderful women. So these two, beautiful women, what are they talking about your book? What is the feedback that you got from these two young ladies?
Yeah, so you are right. The book was really written for women who are challenging their lives, or they are actually in a space where they are struggling, and that struggle is, their souls whisper, asking for something better. They're asking to step up and have a really good look at what your life is, what you have created, what kind of life you've created, and then look at what kind of life you really actually want to live. So for both of my daughters, they are at an age where they are right now starting to create their lives. And again, like anything, you can't change other people. And this was the biggest thing I had to learn as a mother. Because one of the things as we do, especially mothers, that we want to make sure our children don't make the mistakes that we did. So this book has given me more empowerment to be that open-minded, that open, loving mother that my daughters need, instead of what they're saying about me. So it's never about me, it's more about me being the right role model for them. And like inspiring other people, empowering other people, that they can see there is a difference in how we live. Both of my daughters are very, very strong-minded. They are very, very, to an extent, sometimes a little bit stubborn, but that is given, I guess. But at the end of the day,
I'm not
I
surprised.
love
I'm
that.
not surprised. They have a mother who's so strong
Yeah,
and
at the end of
powerful.
the day, it is
Yeah, I'm sure it must have rubbed off on you them also as well. Your traits must have rubbed off on them,
that
right?
literally is the idea, that they to live your life the way you want to, and they create the life that you want. It's not because somebody else did this, or playing the victim role. And that really is the purpose of the book. So you are right in saying quite a lot of men have read the book as well, and the women that have read the book have made quite amazing feedback in terms of how it has given them different nuggets on their parts of life that they were, like struggling with or stressing about, their jobs, their love lives, their marriage lives, their relationships with their parents, relationships with their children, and their work and their businesses. So again, it just comes down to that same point that I say again and again and again. Unless and until you are the best version of yourself, you're not going to be the role model that your children need. You're not going to be the businesswoman that your customers need. You're not going, because you are fighting your own demons, and you're not going to be giving 100% to everybody that needs you. And every relationship you're going to have is going to be limiting relationships, because you have got limiting um, access to your own feelings and emotions and well-being. So at the end of the day, the book has actually opened a lot more doors than I was hoping that it will. So I'm actually really, happy about how it has unfolded and how people have received it. And it has also connected me more to my own wisdom, to my own roots, and to be proud of who I am exactly the way I am. I don't need to wear a mask to pretend to be someone else, or try to fit into somebody else's life, or have people who would like me or want to be with me because I'm likable, so to speak. I just be me, and whoever likes it, great. Whoever doesn't like it, that's absolutely fine too. So, yeah.
But I'm sure, I also know that you have a very aesthetic mind, and I can make that out in your book. The way you have designed your book, very aesthetic, and I think you're a lover of orange, and I decided to wear orange when I wanted to, host you for this program. And I feel, a lot of my unsaid or unsaid fears were answered today, Yogita, through this conversation with you. And I'm sure a lot of questions that were there in my mind were also answered today, because uh, everybody needs somebody to give them those important inputs in life. And sometimes what happens is, you are a lonely traveler, you're a solo traveler even in a normal life, and we have nobody to even look at and ask them, what should I do, or what should the path that I should take. And generally I feel, as long as your mother is there, she accepts you wholeheartedly with all those unfinished parts of you. She is there to accept you. But for people
Yeah.
like me who lost their mothers quite early, we feel that uh, uh, there are so many unanswered questions. Where do I go to with this particular question? So, and today a lot of that got answered with your conversation, and I took a lot of, those very sensitive messages that you've tried to pass on, especially believe your own wisdom, trust
Yes.
your gut, believe your own wisdom. That was a very powerful lesson that I've taken, because
Yeah.
I have this habit of, when I make a decision, I will go to those few people, uh, one or two people who are important in my life. I'll go and ask them, hey, is this decision right? Am I doing the right thing? Many times it's good,
Yeah.
sometimes I fail, but however,
Yeah.
it's good to trust your own gut, and it's good to trust your own wisdom. Is the biggest takeaway for me today. And
Yeah.
I hope you are here to, what do I say? Right from the deepest part of my heart, I want to tell you this. I'm not using my head now. I'm only using my heart now. Tell you this. I hope you influence and you guide, and you tend to kind of create that beauty around you wherever you go and whoever you touch, Yogita.
Thank
It was a very beautiful conversation, and I'm happy that we didn't sit down and plan anything, because I wanted to have a very freewheeling session. Generally, we do a lot of planning meetings. When we do a lot of planning meetings, and we talk to the guest, but I said, Yogita, is different, and I'm going to take this conversation in a different way with Yogita. And I'm sure, you enjoyed it. You enjoyed being with us, and we will definitely want to invite you for another program, which I'm sure will come up another opportunity. Thank you for being with us, and great luck to you. And may you be there for many women out there. Thank you so much, Yogita. Thank you.
you. Really appreciate you having me. Thank you so much. I am so grateful, and yeah, definitely we will. No doubt we will catch up again and do another interview. And yes, I love how you threw me in the deep end and we both swam together. So amazing.
So, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.